Alright, I'm gonna talk about a lot of mistakes that I've recently found out in Squid Game Season 2, so let's get straight to the point. In the first episode of Squid Game Season 2, you can get to notice this unknown woman in front of Sang-gi-han who was looking straight to the direction where the cameraman was standing. I guess she just got too excited to be cast in a world-famous TV series and she could have managed to hide her excitement during the video shoot.
The pink's cute as hell.
If you look at the facial expression of this lady to the right side, she was smiling even before the dialogue was finished. And then this guy in the back was laughing from the very beginning even before this girl opened her mouth. And that means they did a lot of takes until the final shot.
Moved, didn't I?
Alright, something is wrong over here. This girl was standing in the middle. The sniper man was on the left side. The sound of the gunshot also came from the left side. So, how did she get shot in between a nasal cavity standing in the middle of the ground when the bullet actually came from the left corner? I need answers for that. Have you noticed this cameraman in the back in the final episode of Season 2? I don't think I need to say anything about it. The English dubbing of Season 2 was pretty much stupid. Just listen to this dialogue.
You okay? If you die before me, I'll fucking kill you, dude.
Sir, what in the actual hell does that even mean? Look at the mileage on Sang-gi-han's SUV. The vehicle has run 153,637 kilometers in total ever since it was purchased. Now, that's not a problem, but the problem begins just a couple of moments later. When Sang-gi-han was being chased by Detective Junho, one moment the mileage remains this, but only after 5 seconds into the chase, the mileage changes to this, 153,639 kilometers in total, which is 2 kilometers more than the previous mileage. Now the question is, how did Sang-gi-han manage to drive 2 kilometers just within 5 seconds? Does that make any sense to you? If you listen to the sound effect of the C4 beneath Junho's vehicle and the sniper gun in the hand of the pink soldier, you will get to notice that both of them have the same sound effect. Listen carefully. You hear that? They should have used a different sound effect for each event, but nope, the editor chose to copy-paste the same sound effect, thinking nobody would notice that thing.
What are you doing here?
That's what I was gonna ask you!
The Rap Battlegrounds finalist. That's you, right?
When Mrs. Jangamja and her son Yongsik were arguing with each other, you can get to notice Namgyu in the back laughing about it all the time even though he was a complete stranger to both of them. He also did the same kind of thing when a fanboy of Thanos tried to impress him with a rap song at the photo booth. How the hell on earth is that even possible that Namgyu managed to kill this dude with a bloody fork? What the hell is that thing made of? Adamantium? The last time I was traumatized to see something as simple as a bloody fork was when John Wick killed 3 people with a bloody pencil. These guys had the ready wit to take out all the extra ammo from the tactical belt, but they didn't have the common sense to check out their pockets for more ammo. If they had all the mags they left out in the Squid Game compound, the entire situation could have been different. Maybe they could win the gunfight in the final episode and Jungbei didn't have to die like that.
The son of a bitch who ran the game under oil numb.
All of the guards called him the front man.
You know what he looks like?
No, he always wore a black mask under a hood.
When Detective Junho was asked about the frontman, he blatantly denied that he doesn't know anything about the frontman. If he was not dumb enough to hide the truth about his own brother, it would be so easy for Sang-gi-han to get to the VIP. Also, Jungbei didn't have to die like that. But nope, dude had to maintain his mysterious personality so that the director could write the script for Season 3. In the promotional videos, the director said that they will unfold the past history of the frontman and there's going to be a brother versus brother deathmatch in Season 2. But in reality, we just got to see a flimsy story about the past history of Inho from the confessions of his brother, mother, and himself. And yes, a small picture of his late wife. The production team had enough money and time to remake his past events, but nope, they had to come up with a half-cooked story.
Oh Young-il, that's me.
Young-il?
Yeah. And what's your full name?
Sung Gi-eun's my full name.
Ah, Sung Gi-eun. Like our unsung hero.
In the first episode, the frontman said to Sang-gi-han that his ambition to play the role of a hero to take down the entire VIP syndicate will cost him a lot in the end. He even called Sang-gi-han a predictable and stupid hero. And guess what? Inside the Squid Game compound, he also called Sang-gi-han an unsung hero and laughed about it for straight 15 seconds. But Sang-gi-han still couldn't manage to detect the red flag. He even saw the pink guard being afraid after looking at the frontman in the back, but this man still chose to remain utterly clueless about it all the damn time. I guess Sergeant Cho Yoon-ju has got a better chance of survival than Sang-gi-han. Alright, let's talk about another idiot. When Jung-bae saw with his own eyes that the frontman was snapping the neck of an intruder inside the sanctuary chamber, he tried to share that story with Sang-gi-han in the aftermath. But for some reason, he decided to avoid sharing the incident and stay clueless instead. What a fucking moron. This dude has got one of the most iconic serial numbers, 007, but he was never shown to be involved in any kind of heroic activity. At first, he voted against the will of his mom to stay in the game. Second, he was always negligent of his mom's feelings, and finally, he decided to leave his mother to die in the Ox Game Challenge. Is that dude really going to do something in Season 3, or he will remain as a wasted character? I wanna know about this.